Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. We are back for our review show. Obviously missed last week thanks to a thing called Magic Round, which in a weird way, I feel like some people out there, maybe myself included, got over very late. Some might be still getting over it out there. Who knows? But we are back to normality on the page as well. So we'll have the podcast as is moving forward this week, which is great news. If anything, heading into Origin, we might have one or two extras for you all, which I'm very keen to get into and talk about the Origin stuff. It is heating up and pretty close. It is creeping up on us very, very quickly. Just for those listening, last night for this, I'll extend it till 24 hours. So until probably to give enough time for people to listen to this Monday, let's say 6 p.m., message the page to get these hats. They're 20% off podcast discount at the moment. So rewarding those that do listen. If you've already jumped on board, so rewarding those who have listened to the podcast, simply message the page, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. You're going to get your hands on either the light blue or we've got the dark blue version as well. Had very good reports, very good reports about these hats from Magic Round and since as well. People are loving the look of them. You'll see myself and the guy with me this tonight, Jake, with them on as well, and we are loving it. One quick one out there as well. While we're talking about merch and stuff like that, it is getting a bit cooler. So you already spotted me. I'm not in the black shirt tonight because it's a bit cold where I am. It is getting cooler. I'm very interested to know if anyone out there is actually interested, genuinely interested as well, in maybe like a League of Inches hoodie, something like that. Just so I can know some rough numbers before I do go ahead and look into anything. But yeah, I might be keen on organising some hoodies. I was getting to the colder weather as well, and then that way it makes it all look pretty good, and a nice warm jumper sounds good to me. Jakey boy, round 10 done and dusted. How's things? We missed you last week. As I said, there's a few out there, myself, I've been, to be honest with you, I've been pretty flat. The whole week I've just been flat. It's been a very tough grind. I know it was a 4-day work week, but a dead set felt like it was about 8 days. What about yourself? How was it? We didn't get to talk post Magic Round, but you put in a mighty effort.
Oh, I had a great time at Magic Round. It was bloody good. Came out of that very tired, and then had to. So we flew into Sydney on the Monday morning, and I had to go straight from there, straight onto the train, go meet up with year 11 and 12 from my school because they were doing an excursion there, and then I had to hang with them there till the Wednesday, and then drive all the way home on the Wednesday after that. So you talk about being flat, man. That killed me this week. But you know what? We're here. Another crazy week of footy, and we're excited.
Mate, that sounds like torture. So I am not jealous of you one bit, but as I said, you did have a mighty crack at Magic Round, so that was great to see. Disappointed you went home so early on the Sunday. I felt like we were about to just have a really good little late night stint, but you obviously had some responsibilities, and I got to respect that. Let's get into obviously the ladder as we do each and every week. So the Bulldogs outright first, 18 points. The Warriors outright second, 16 points, flying along. Next two teams are both on 14. That's the Storm and the Raiders rounding out your top four. The Sharkies are outright fifth. It's good to see now a few of these teams are outright and things like that, which do make a bit of a difference. The Cowboys are slowly just continually creeping up. They're outright 6 and 11 points after that draw. The Broncos, Manly, Roosters, Tigers, and Rabbitohs all on 10 points. So Manly are there. They're the ones that round out the top 8 there. 8 points, you've got the Dolphins, Dragons, Knights, Titans. Penrith 16th on 7 points. And the Eels are down at last, 6 points only. That is including a bye. 17th on the ladder, and the only team on 6 points. Disappointing there. But anyone to touch on early days here that's surprising you, Jake, from ladder point of view?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, we talk about every week the Panthers. Obviously, that's the biggest shock of the season. But we're not if you're not talking about them. You know what? Actually, I want to say the Roosters are surprising me because I thought they'd be doing worse than they are. They're actually a little higher than I expected them to be this season. So good on them.
Yeah, nice. That is a good shout, actually.
Yeah, they're on their way up.
That's it. That's a pretty. Honestly, I'm just loving the Wars at the moment. So I'm going to give them a shout out. We're going to get into them a bit more in the potty, but
True.
Wars are up. Wars are everywhere. Wars nation, and it is fantastic to see. They are playing a brilliant brand of tough football as well. So I'm really, really enjoying it. Let's rip and tear. Hope you haven't forgotten anything. I don't feel like I have from our general starting point. So the Thursday game, it feels like a lifetime ago. The Dolphins defeated the Eels at CommBank 20 points to 16. Jake, I've got to be honest, this game a bit of a meh sort of game. It just didn't live up to too many heights. It seemed like a bit of a struggle. The Dolphins got there in the end. I think Parramatta had plenty of chances to do the same and just missed. I think the Eels, to be fair, started pretty average. And that's sort of, for me, was a bit of the a bit of an upsetting part, I think, because it was at home, back at home after a tough loss against the Sharks at Magic Ground. And we just seemed to get monstered very early on as well, the Eels, which again, we got our Para podcast. We do on a Tuesday night. We'll go way in more depth for Para fans. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that jazz, so you get the notifications on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll talk more about the game in depth from an Eels point of view. But just noticed it very early on that the Dolphins forward pack was monstering us. I thought the forward pack was really, really average in this game.
This one's an interesting one because I actually thought this was a game that really showed how much we've improved from the start of the season. In the sense that the Dolphins came at us. You could see at the start of that game, they came at us with intensity and they wanted to get over us early, right? And you could see that because, you know what? Yes, our forward pack got monstered a little bit, and you could really clearly see that where like our biggest issue is it right in the middle, like is in the middle of the field. But I actually thought that we did really well to sort of weather that for a fair amount of time before they sort of scored their first one. Like they scored their first try, in the 11th minute. So, it took them 11 minutes to score that. And I actually can't remember the Bostock try. I don't think, I remember it was a bit of a weird one. It was the one where Cody Nikarima kind of like did a weird little dummy and everyone sort of the whole line fell for it and moved forward. So to be honest with you, it was probably a try that was a bit preventable. But I thought, if it was the Eels of week 1 this year, like round 1, we get flogged from the get-go, from the jump, like we get absolutely pumped. So to be completely honest with you, I was relatively happy. I wasn't happy with the result because I thought it was a winnable game for us, but I thought I was happy with the defensive effort we put in for most of that game.
Interesting. I just thought, pretty early on, the forward pack was just not quite where it should have been. That was the difference in the end. The Iongi early drop, that sitter of a try was proved to be pretty costly, didn't it? I know he made up for it. He actually had a really decent game in the end, but that try, that no try in the end, he dropped it. But goodness me, that try for Parramatta fans would have been really, really nice. I just want to quickly, before we go to the Dolphins, Dylan Walker, honestly, he's quickly becoming arguably one of the buys of the season. I think everyone can see how much he's turned the Eels around. Every time he comes on, it just seems to give him a massive amount of oomph, really, and it really picks things up. Sort of gives the question, like, I know if you don't really want to change a good thing that's working, but at the same time, it's not getting results. You almost just give him the 13, don't you, at the moment? Because granted, Hopgood's there. I don't know if Hopgood's doing much with that at start at the moment. Like, he's not making an impact. You can't tell. You can't go back to moments in the game where you're like, oh, yep, that was Hopgood's moment. He did this and that. Where Walker, he's coming on, and the whole time he's on, he's making a huge, huge difference. So makes me start to think maybe Hopgood into the middle, into the props or something. Walker's 13 now, and he seems fit enough to, like, every time he's on there, I think he's been doing about 60-odd minutes at the moment, and he doesn't seem to be too fatigued during that time. So it makes you feel like he could be possibly going an 80-minute stint if required.
Yeah, I do agree with you in the sense that I think that he could handle it. Like, I'm not saying he wouldn't handle it. What I think, though, is that the reason he's so effective for us is coming on and providing an actual impact. Like you said, he comes on and he actually changes the game and the way that the Eels are playing. I don't think he does that if he starts. This week was the first one that I saw that Hopgood and him were on at the same time. So it seems like Riles is trying Hopgood out in that sort of prop role on a second stint. So first stint, he seems to start at lock. If he's going to do it again, I hope he does, because I actually didn't mind it. Hopgood starts at lock. When he comes off straight on for Walker, gives Hopgood that break, and then Hopgood shifts into prop after that and keeps Walker on for the rest of the game. I like that. I actually think that's probably the ideal way I would have it, to be fair. So I just don't know that Walker does the same job if he's on from the beginning of the game.
I just don't think we've started well. I can't remember a game we started well. That's my problem. And I just feel like, what are we waiting for? Like, we're waiting to catch up or try and find the front foot after being on the back foot for the first 15, 20 minutes, which is happening pretty much all season so far, which is disappointing. And it's just making me feel like what to change or how to change things and stuff like that.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Again, we'll dive deeper into that and don't want to bore everyone into the Our Para podcast. From the Dolphins' point of view, though, as I said, they started on really well. I thought they really got to the game and made sure that their presence was felt early on, which I thought was really important, especially from their forward pack, which, to be fair, isn't a star-studded forward pack by any means, but they just go about their work and they do quite a good job of it. Isaiah Katoa, I don't know what else to start saying about this bloke to do him justice, because I continually am so impressed with what I'm seeing from Katoa. It's starting to become ridiculous. And I keep forgetting his age. And the other thing that starts to really get to me is the fact that he's a New South Welshman. And I just don't know when he's going to get a shot in the halves, which is ridiculous to think. Like, obviously, the origin stuff's starting to heat up. And he's almost playing already at the point where you'd go, he could actually deal with that presence. He could deal with that sort of a game. Like, he just matured so much so quickly. I feel like this year especially, he's been absolutely incredible. Like, and I'll just note one more thing before you have your say on it. His one-on-one strip on Junior, that's a halfback. Almost half his size, was momentum changing for the Dolphins at the time, because
Huge.
the Eels were coming. The Eels were looking like they were going to put some points on, and to get that, I was really disappointed in Junior from a Para point of view to have that on a halfback. But that just shows you Katoa and his mind frame and where he's at in his game at the moment. He's arguably the form player in the competition. I could easily go that far.
Yeah, he's definitely just switched on. The advantage he has when you talk about the Blues kind of thing, I suppose, is that he is young. And let's pretend that Laurie goes with the whole Cleary and Moses site, like, test kind of thing, and see if that ends up working. Katoa could do the same thing Moses does when Cleary's, in a few years when Moses might have aged out of the role a little bit, then Katoa could come in and probably do the same thing. So I think his chance will come, or if there's injuries, that's not unheard of either. So I'd say in my opinion, he's probably the third in line right now.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's probably the third in line right now for that halfback role for the Blues. And I had a look at one stat that I thought was very good from him. He took 22 kicks in that game. It was a very grindy game. Like, it was very sort of slow, sort of grindy game. He took 22 kicks and kicked 600 meters.
Wow.
Like, we know he's got a big boot on him. And that's the thing that I feel like the elite halfbacks in this game, not all of them, like you have like a Jerome Hughes, which I don't think has the biggest boot kind of thing, but Katoa has, or not Katoa, some of the best halfbacks in the game just need to be able to, like, if your team is getting peppered in your own end, just get the ball back down the other end. And the thing is, that's usually Mitchell Moses' specialty, right? So we get used to having that happen. But when you have Katoa doing the exact same thing the other way around, it gets counted out. So the team then, it becomes that team has to actually grind against each other, as opposed to just getting those free outs and free meterage. So that's a big thing that we missed out on, or lost it out against the Dolphins in that game because of Katoa. That's a huge thing.
Yeah. No, shout out to the Hammer. I actually was really impressed with his game in this, and it's not from a flashy point of view. It's actually away from that. He had 23 runs all up. He had 227 meters as well. 7 tackle breaks. Like, he just worked a lot, I felt like, in this game. He realized the game probably wasn't going ideally to the way we see the Dolphins when they win their games, like how they sort of play. So, and I like how I'll shout out to Farmer shortly as well, how they both, being the sort of the leaders in this back line and their points making sort of players, adapted the way they sort of played in this. And it really impressed me to see that side of the Hammer come out, where I think everyone's just known for him to be this guy that if it's not going plan A, which is basically attack, he disappears. Where this game, he didn't do that, which was really, really good.
Yeah, no, definitely. He has been stepping up even over the last few weeks. Like I just think he's been gaining confidence a little bit. And I think he's just been kind of involved a lot more in general. The other person I was going to say, yeah, well, that's exactly right. So he wants a certain position, maybe, who knows? But there's also Bostock. So one thing that I noticed in the game was they kept peppering Isaiah Iongi on kicks, and Bostock and the Hammer were just always there. Like they were always getting up for that kick and putting pressure on him. And fair play to Iongi being a young kid in this game who against some pretty good, like high leapers kind of thing. He did a really great job of kick defusals. However, it did lead to eventually that sort of spill, and that eventually led to them getting that attacking set kind of thing on the line. So that's just that consistent pressure kind of thing that we're seeing from them, and it was really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as I said, shout out to Herbie as well, who sort of opened the game up for the Dolphins with that remarkable try that he did score. Showed a great bit of pace to basically get around Iongi. He almost looked like he was trying to run in quicksand for a little bit there. But I thought he timed his moment. That's what the good players do. They just time their moments and they just go whack and they make sure they don't miss. And you just can't. I feel like in a weird way, like I feel like the Eels did quite a decent job on Herbie all night. Like he was fairly quiet for his standards, but just he picked his moment, went boom, and again, credit to the player that he is now. He's one of the best, if not best, center in the game. Probably second to Crichton at this stage, but just iced it. Did a moment and did it well.
Last thing I'll say is on Josh Kerr. Offloads. Josh Kerr offloads. He just kept throwing them. I don't know. There's only two. I know I'm looking at his stats. There's only two, but they feel like they were in key moments. Like there was the one. I know he offloaded one and they made a line break from that. So none of the rest of the team were looking for him, and he was just looking to get rid of it all the time. So
yeah,
good on him.
Yep. Next up, the start of the Friday games. We'll go the Knights 20 losing to the Titans 24 beating the Knights 20 in Newcastle. Just before half time, I don't know what happened with this scoreline was all over the shop. I'm about to put a post out there saying Des is done. This can't keep happening. And then that try just before halftime to Philip Sami, I think was a huge try. It gave Titans some kind of hope, a glimmer. Then they continued on. So they scored 24 unanswered points in the end to win the game by the 4 points. It's a game of two halves, really, wasn't it? Because the Knights looked pretty good early on. And then they were able to solidify it, went through, didn't come out in the second half, it's fair to say. And the Titans, credit to them, decided to show up, play as if a team that generally care, which I feel like a lot of people out there, including us at certain times, have probably questioned. And they decided to show that they actually do. They perhaps care about Desi and his job, that they want Des there. Because I tell you what, and that now puts a lot of pressure on Adam O'Brien as well, who there is a lot of ways to go at this game, to be honest, Jake, and just more so the fallout, because the game itself wasn't crash hot. I don't think I'm harsh in saying that. It was two teams towards the bottom end that will be a bottom end team towards the end of the year, unfortunately. One had to win, or maybe not. We've seen a draw this weekend, but I'll let you start us off. Where are we going with this one?
Well, if last week was magic round, this week was comeback round, in my opinion, because
it was.
Because honestly, not like the next 5 games we're about to talk about all had comebacks involved in them. But yeah, you have to wonder what did Adam O'Brien say in that halftime, in that shed at halftime, or vice versa? What did Des say? Because I would love to have been a fly on the wall to figure out what happened that caused the absolute capitulation of the Knights. Like they just downhill, and then the Titans not only capitalized on that, I feel like they created it. Like they pushed through to make that sort of happen, just pushing in on them early, making errors, forcing errors and things like that. Just I don't really know how do I even go about this. AJ Brimson, what an absolute just freak of a player. On the back of him saying I'm going to go play for England and not play Origin anymore, he goes and scores a double to win the team the game. pretty freaking awesome. And the Maroons were just going, oh damn, we need a fullback. Well, I don't know. I know he's not playing fullback right now.
Just off topic, don't mind it. I'm all for it, to be honest with you. I'm happy for him to go and pay home, like to pay respect to his family from that part of the world. And we'll probably speak about it more on the Tuesday show. It's definitely a Tuesday night topic, and having everyone involved, make sure you're there live. But just quickly off it, like I almost wouldn't care if he stuck with the Maroons as well and was allowed to play for both. Like it honestly wouldn't bother me.
See, yeah, I don't know. It bothers me a little bit. I've always said that I feel like it should be a Origin should be a test for if you make the Australia side. That's the way I've always believed that it should be. So I would like. It doesn't bother me that he's going to England as long as he's not playing Maroons. That's fine. Like that's okay for me. But yeah, I'm not on the same side on that one.
Mate, get with us. I'll go you on Tuesday night once again. Everyone get ready for that one. That's a shocking take by you. Get off your 19 bloody 80s sort of thought pattern.
I'm back. I'm stuck back in the day, mate.
You're right about Brimson, but honestly, I want to give one guy a humongous rap, and it's almost getting to the point where I feel sorry for him being on the Gold Coast. That is Tino Fa'asuamaleaui. He's an absolute animal.
True.
He's a freak. It is ridiculous the work he can get through for this team. And so much of it, the freakish part of this, and this is probably related to a bit of Supercoach as well, and this is why it points out to me, I could honestly probably say right now, for a lot of that game, I hardly noticed him. But then you look at his stats and his numbers and stuff, and just everything he's getting through and what he's doing for this team, he's literally the glue at the moment for this club. This whole club is basically Tino. And if he's not there, like last year, what happened when he was out with the season-ending injury, that happened at the moment, I would be so concerned about the Titans this year and probably even winning another game. That's how important he is to this team, because I feel like the players must get to the point where, like Brimson, that are going, I'm seeing him busting his ass off. I literally just need to start pulling something out. I need to show that I actually want to be here, because he clearly does. And out of everyone here, he's the one that probably shouldn't have to be here. Like he should easily go over to another team that's actually doing well and win a few competitions, where at the moment it's looking like his only premiership with the Storms or done and dusted, and he won't be winning one again unless he moves.
Can I be honest? If there was a team I reckon would be awesome to sign him, and I know this isn't what we were sort of talking about right now, because Tino's fantastic. I don't need to go into too much detail about that. He's awesome. It just sounds like it would be perfect for him to go to the Tigers, where they're going at the moment, and with him next to Terrell May. Like, because you know how Terrell May is very similar sort of style player. Like they're just that all effort, can play for 80 minutes, kind of like crazy player. Think about how good that would be next to each other in clubland. That'd just be wouldn't that just knock your socks off, mate? That'd be whew. But I mean, this is all. Yeah, there's no point really talking about that. I don't even know when he's off contract. I'm not going to talk about this. We'll talk about the game. We've got to keep going talking about the game. But yeah, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak. He needs to be in a place where they should worship him over on the Gold Coast, because he is the only reason they ever do anything good. And on that note, I want to throw a little gauntlet down to all the Eels fans who have copped. Given Jason Ryles crap and said like, oh, why have we gotten rid of why did we get rid of Big Reg? Look, what's he done at the Titans? What has he done at the Titans since he's been there? Nothing. This week he ran 9 times for 70 meters across 50 minutes. Like he's not
easily the worst of the starting pack as well. Easily, like numbers wise,
every week,
almost
it's the same.
Less than half of everyone else in that pack.
He's not looking like he did at his best, and that's the reason Morales saw that and went, "We don't need your services, thank you very much." And that's all I'll say on that. But he needs to pick up his game, man. To be honest, I don't know how he keeps getting the start. I really don't. There's other players there. Or maybe I'm wrong about that actually.
Pahulu. No, I'd put Pahulu in the starting.
Yeah, Pahulu, I suppose. Yeah. Well, in 19 minutes, he ran 8 times for 85 meters. So in 19 minutes, holy crap. That's actually insane. So he had 30 less minutes than Reg. He ran for more meters in less runs. That's unbelievable.
That's why I'm telling you.
Start him.
The most to be after him at the end of the year. I am telling you, he is.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good shout.
Young player. So, mate, I know my footy. I know my rugby league. Let me just tell you that much. I know my rugby league. Other quick shout out before we move on. Bo Fermor, again, another great performance by him. We do say it's a lot of Tino, but to be honest and to be fair, Bo Fermor has been very good this year. Another player that doesn't deserve to be in some of the games that the Titans have been involved with the effort that he continues to put in. For the Knights, mate, honestly, I don't have that much to talk about with these guys because I was really, really disappointed by just how this game ended up being because obviously we know rugby league goes for 80 minutes. It's the old saying, the 80-minute games. They sort of stopped playing after their third try, and I'm just going to quickly check. So 27-minute was Matt Croker scored his try. Funnily enough, that's probably when they stopped playing as well. It's just so disappointing because they look like in a way they might have found something last week. And I jokingly said to a few people, well, they won't be able to play a third string South Sydney team every week to let them play like that. And after almost coming into the first half, I thought, I'm going to have the biggest egg on my face here. Then by the end of it, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm right. Like maybe, and it's not to be disrespectful to the Knights in any way, shape or form, but it's gone back straight away to what it was the weeks before that. And it's just not a good brand of football. Like, and let's be honest here, the Titans were there for the taking. Like, I know we gave him credit then for a few players, but we just said at the start, it wasn't the greatest game. They really should have put them away. That try at halftime almost just helped the Titans get back into it. So there's a number of things you look back on and just think, how did the Knights let that slip?
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting, right? Because I think to be honest with you, I didn't catch the entire game, right? But I'm looking at a few stats here, okay? And the whole backline ran for over 100 meters. Greg Marju had a huge one as normal. Jacob Saifidi took 21 runs and ran for 213 meters. So he was on, how long was he on? He was on 56 minutes and he was huge. That's a lot of impact. Then they had three other props running for over 100 meters. So you have to ask, is it just a matter of effort in defense? Because it looks like that's obviously purely looking at attack that I'm looking at right there. You have to ask then, is it them going into the sheds and going, oh, right, I forgot we play for this idiot. Like we play for O'Brien. Let's get him out. Like, let's just go and lose the match so that, old mate can get gone. Or I don't know. It's a really difficult question. Maybe that is what it is. Maybe they just go, you know what? I don't want to play under AOB anymore. Let's play real bad after this half and get him sacked.
Imagine if that's the sort of conversation happening behind O'Brien's back. The boys are just like, let's just lose this one now. We started well. We showed some promise to entice maybe a new coach to go, you know what? This isn't that bad of a group to coach, which on paper, it isn't actually that bad of a group. Like, it's something that you can work with if you're a decent coach. And then they're just stabbing O'Brien in the back. As you said, like, I would have loved to have heard what the halftime chats were, because clearly whatever Adam O'Brien has said, do not ever repeat any of that again, because it clearly didn't work and shouldn't be said again.
It's probably just, yeah, you're doing well, boys. Keep doing what you're doing. That was it. That's probably all he had.
And then look at Ponga and say, just help me out. Let's just get this win for me and get the pressure off my back. Next up, the second Friday game had the Bunnies 22 defeating the Broncos 14. So, wowee, there is so many things to talk. Again, Broncos shot out to, I think it was a 14-0 lead, and got mowed down by the Bunnies. I tell you what, this was I wasn't looking forward, to be honest, to the Friday game. So I looked at the draw and sat down for the Friday night game. So I thought, this is going to be a bit of an onslaught by the Broncos. Not really keen on this one. And as the game went, it just got more and more exciting. Obviously, the huge moment of the game was that Latrell field goal. Wow. That's one of the all-time plays, in my opinion. How sweet he hit it. His response afterwards. Like, I was seeing a few people on social media. I don't know why they do this, but they're like mocking him for the way he sort of just turned around, didn't really celebrate, and just Like in a way, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And like I'm really starting to feel a little bit for Latrell in that point of view, where if he just after he kicked that had a huge celebration on him, everyone would be going blisting at him. Oh, what a show off! Why would you do that?
He's not allowed to succeed. Like he's not allowed to succeed. As soon as he succeeds, he's in trouble.
Yeah. Can I ask your thoughts on the try for him at the end? Do you like it? Do you agree with it? I know there's been a little bit of on social media, a little bit of back and forth, a bit of, I wouldn't say it's not 50-50, but there's definitely enough value on the against side to warrant it being a pretty decent argument out there in the social media world, the news world. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, look, the way I see it is, in any other case and any other time in the game, right? Let's pretend it was the 50th minute. Who cares what the time is? If the other team switches off and you do that, you're a hero. There's no issues, right? Just because it was right at the end of the game, I think the hooter had blown, right? That's what the thing was. The hooter had gone. Or was it just before?
Literally, it was like almost exactly on. Like it was a weird one. Like he got the ball. And the hooter's sort of going in the background and he's sort of on his knee and then he's gone and scored because the Broncos players literally turned around like right next to him.
Yeah, but it was Billy Walters.
Yeah, like we're almost obviously disappointed, but the game hadn't officially because you see normally players would just like hold that guy or something and let the whistle go down, but they didn't. They didn't even touch him.
That's it. Look, to be honest with you, really, really smart from Latrell. That's all I've got for you. To be honest, if it's within the rules of the game and the other team did switched off and he was switched on enough to do it, good try. Well done. Fantastic. Move on. It's not grubby at all.
I almost find it perplexing that people are actually trying to go that way because if anything, I reckon the heat should have been on the Broncos and the Broncos players because of how they reacted to that and they didn't finish the game, like played to the final whistle, which is something where everyone is taught in sport from almost under sixes all the way through to however long you play, whatever sport it is you play. And the Broncos first grade football players didn't do that. And Latrell punished him. And the thing I say then for that is imagine if at the end of the year, the Broncos miss the 8 by like 5 points differential points or something. Like imagine if that's the try that loses them. Like you're going to go back and you're going to be absolutely grilling those players that were around there then and let that happen because that, for mine, is the bigger talking point out of whether Latrell was in the right or wrong for doing what he did. He played to the whistle. Referee didn't blow his whistle yet. He scored a try. His opposition literally turned their back on him in a live play. How stupid 100%. Can you get?
Yeah. Like, that's literally it. You get taught to play to the whistle your entire career and entire life. You don't play to the whistle, you get punished, and that's all that happened. I don't think that Latrell did anything that was too grubby at all.
No, I agree with you. From a South point of view, though, like Latrell was fantastic. He actually tried his ass off. I felt like for a lot of this game, it was quite an impressive performance from Latrell. Keon Kalamatangi got moved back into the prop forward position. To be honest, probably my player of the match. I thought he was phenomenal. Absolutely worked his ringer off this whole game. His numbers were ridiculous. 20 hit ups.
How much better is he? How much better is he in the middle? Like, I don't understand why he keeps getting played in the second row when he's clearly a middle.
And to be honest, I actually thought Aiken and Duncan both had pretty good games as well. It was sort of a weird game, like the edge, like it's a bit sloppy, things like that. The edges didn't get to do too much, but I thought for what they did do, they showed a fair bit of promise. I wouldn't mind going this way if I was South Sydney moving forward, just keeping Keon in the middle. Like you said, he has shown time and time again he can easily handle the middle. If not, lately, I reckon in the last 2 years has showed he plays better when he is in the middle, whether it's lock or in the prop forward position. So I'd definitely be pursuing it. I hope it is something for South fans' point of view and the South team, they go along with it. I thought, I just thought Keon was absolutely phenomenal, and for mine was the man of the match in this game, and has to be there.
Oh, 100%. First of all, I'd say Latrell was man of the match in my opinion, but I do think that it's the moment. It's all it is. It's the moment that wins it. Anyway, Keon was a monster. He was an absolute powerhouse in the game, right? And I fully agree with that. And if you're going off MVP for most hard working, then yeah, for sure. But if it's going off who technically won the game, yeah, that's what I'm going off. But you have to keep him in the middle. It doesn't have to be lock. Prop is fine. I always thought he was an okay lock, but prop is honestly fine if that's what's working. If that's what works, do it, because it lets you keep Hubner in the team. It lets you keep Tallis Duncan in the team, like in your starting side as well, which I think is only just win-win-win. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's absolutely fine. They should be trying to keep that there. I want to give a little shout out, because this is a person, he didn't have like a monster game or anything. He didn't have anything to like write home about, but I've always been a massive critic of Jaden Sullivan. And I've thought that since he's gone to the Rabbitohs, he has improved his game out of sight.
Yeah.
I never thought he would be anyone in the NRL who would be like, this big name or anything like that. And I still wouldn't argue that he's like a big name or anything like that. But I think he's finding his role and finding his feet in the NRL, and I'm happy for him, because I never disliked the guy. I just thought he sucked. But I'm glad that he's starting to look a bit better.
I think it's a prime example as well of a Wayne Bennett magic dust coming out and doing the work that it does. I think I don't think any other coach in the NRL, to be honest with you, probably can do that to Jaden and turn his career basically around, which is what has happened now. He's become a first-grade footballer again, where there was times throughout the last 18 months where you'd argue if he was or not. No one questioned his talent, but it was probably the way he went about it on the field, where this has just been completely simplified for him, and it's working so well. And it's like he knows as well, and credit to him as well, that he almost has got to the point where this is my last chance. I can't keep club hopping like this, or I'm off to Super League. And I have a feeling he still has this thing about him where he has something to achieve in the NRL. He believes he deserves to be here. And he has shown, like you've said so far, he has been here and he deserves this spot. And probably helping at the moment that his form is helping him not rush Cody Walker back either, which is only a good thing for the Bunnies when it comes to later on in the year, because there's no doubting if South Sydney want to be a top 8 team and make finals and be a potential finals contending team, they need Cody Walker to actually be one of their better players towards the back end of the year. And they'll only get that from Cody Walker if he's fully fit. And at the moment he wasn't, so you don't want to push him yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a long time ago when they took Cody Walker over Adam Reynolds, they made that decision. I never agreed with it, but if he's going to be their main man, and that's what he is, he's their main guy at the moment, he's going to need to be fully fit. I'm loving the fact that they found Jamie Humphries, because I like the Rabbitohs. I like to see them succeed. I love the fact that they found Jamie Humphries, because Cody Walker is not a 7. He's the same thing as it's the same thing as Dylan Brown. He's that player who you just can't force to be in that 7 role, because it just ruins the rest of the team. The rest of the team suffers for it. And I think that as long as he goes back to sticking to his role like he did when Reynolds was there, and with Humphries running the whole show, he just looks so much better. I don't think he's hit the heights he hit when Reynolds was there and they were that partnership. But at the same time, I still think that he's going the Rabbitohs need him to, if they're having a chance of winning this comp. If they're going to have any chance of running late into the finals and like that, they need him to be there, and they need Humphries to be there too. But you're right. No point having him on the field running at 70%.
Yeah, I agree. No, I definitely agree. The Broncos, mate, how did they lose this? What went wrong? Because once again, I feel like we say it every week. They couldn't have had a better platform laid with Carrigan and Haas, who were both animals once again on the night and have been all year.
Yeah, like always.
I don't even know what to say about this one. I still look at things and I just can't believe they've actually lost this game. What happened?
Well, it's a bit interesting. I'm looking at the minutes. I'm looking at the minutes played of a lot of their players, and it seems like Madge kept Carrigan and Haas on, Ricky on obviously 80, and then the only other 80-minute was Piakura, but everyone else played like 20 minutes or so. Like Fletcher Baker played 18, Jensen only played 37, like low minutes for them. So I'm wondering if he didn't try to like push his main forwards a little too hard, or like he seems to have been running Haas a lot over the last few weeks. Same with Carrigan. So I'm debating if there's a bit of a running out of steam, kind of aspect to it, coming back into that second half, starting to run out of steam kind of thing. But to be honest with you, I think it was just that, like you said, that Wayne Bennett sprinkle of magic dust. He's just going, boys, what are you doing out there? This isn't how we trained. Come out and play how we trained and you'll win. And they've just probably gone out and going, sweet, righto, let's do it. Let's go out and just, like Wayne's backing us. We'll be right. But yeah.
Do you think there's been a bit of overhyping of the Broncos? I sort of look back. I think this is now 4 losses in 5. I think that the record is. I'm pretty sure that's right. Not great. Like, they're just not. I feel like there's a lot of people that are really high up on the Broncos, thinking they're a real good shot this year, but they're just more than often than not, they've shown us the team that is almost the opposite to that than the team that actually can do that.
I get what you're saying. I fully do with the overhyping and stuff like that. I just think it's an attitude issue. Like, I think if you look at the team on paper, if you look at the team even when they're at their best, like when they're playing their absolute best footy, like you think about the Dogs game when they took it to the Bulldogs at the start of that game. They're like,
it is.
They've shown what they. What's that?
It is 4 losses from 5. They're on a run of.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. But look,
yeah.
The way I see it is they're all talent and no heart at the moment. That's what I'm seeing from the Broncos. I don't think that we've overestimated what they can do. I think that we've overestimated maybe their drive and their want for that success potentially. Like if there's anything that we've sort of like overestimated is that, because no one's looking at that team going, they can't win any game that they come up against. There's any game they come up against, they've got a world-class halfback, 2.
They're not getting it done. That's the problem.
Sorry?
They're not getting it done. That's the problem. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that a lot of people are raving about this team on paper and saying the superstars are there and that sort of jazz. But like, we're now around 10. Like, they've got to make it happen soon. Otherwise, they're not going to make finals. Like, if they keep losing this 4-5 record they currently got, and they're about to go into Origin and lose a fair few of their key players, especially in their forwards, which we're just spoken about the 2 guys that laid the platform each and every week. They won't have them.
They're 5-5.
No, they won against the Bulldogs.
Oh, it just says 5-5 here on the ladder.
I mean, they're on a losing streak. I'm saying the last 5
sorry.
games.
Sorry. Right. Yeah. I'm with you.
So it's just like early questions about maybe there's obviously always a lot of pressure on this Maguire signing and the way the Broncos would fit in with the Maguire structure. And there's potentially early signs at the moment where it might not be anywhere near as smooth sailing as a lot probably thought it could have been. And the worry there is, I think most of us out there said, you know what, I reckon early on and probably the first year it can work, but it's probably afterwards that, like, the longer that they are basically driven sort of soldier-like, that could really affect this playing group, where it feels like already there could be some little chinks in the armor.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on this one, in the sense that I think they still have players to come back. Like, once I know that he's in the bad books at the moment with Broncos fans and also pretty much any NRL fan. But when he does eventually come back and he finds that sort of form, you've got Ezra Mam coming back in, which shifts Ben Hunt into hooker, which we know he's successful at. Selwood Cobber needs to shift back out onto the wing because they've been missing Reece Walsh. So Reece Walsh goes to fullback, so then they gain an extra strike weapon on the edge. Like, to be honest with you, they still haven't had their full strength side in pretty much any. Well, I'd argue when having Reynolds
the Warriors.
And Hunt. Well, look, I'm not saying that these guys are going to win the comp. I'm just saying that I think that they still have the ability to do that. If they turn it on, they just have to. Yeah, it is worrying. If you're a Broncos fan, you have to be worried. You're right. I agree with that, but I'm just saying it's too early in the season, and they still can turn it around.
It looks like Ezra could be back as early as this week, as well, with obviously Ben Hunt injury. He's out now for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury, which is a huge blow. He won't be there for game 1 for Origin either. So pretty much locked in, I reckon, for that 14 jersey at the moment for those Queenslanders. But doesn't sit well with me, if I'm being brutally honest here. And I might cop it. I don't know. Might be people that agree with me. But Ezra already being back in the game after everything does not sit well with me. And I actually don't think I'll disagree with you for that part. I think it's going to put more pressure on the Broncos now, having him back in the team. The impact that's going to have, the team's going to be hated everywhere they go, purely off this one guy that is going to get booed galore. And we've seen it. We experienced it at Magic Round. Him being just on the big screen, not even running out, not even dropping a ball, things like that. And at the moment, he's not coming into a team that's playing well. As I said, they've lost 4 from 5. They're in a form slump, and they're trying to find a way out. It's not necessarily a player with the background and history he's currently got that you want coming in, if you know what I mean. Like, you'd rather have those 2 experienced guys there getting you out of this mess, and then him coming into a team that's sky high and feeding off confidence. Yeah, it's an odd fit. I'm very interested to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. And look, I'm interested to see where it goes, because does Madge sort of compromise on what he believes and what he has said and bring Ezra Mann back after 1 week? Because he said he's going to have to earn his way back in. I didn't see him play Cup. I don't know how he went. I don't know if you know anything about how he went in that game, but
no, all I seen was a low light where he's been charged for a high tackle in the first tackle he made of the game. So he might even have a suspension coming off that. So he might not even be allowed to play this weekend. Who knows? But I think everyone will be keeping an eye on that one.
True. Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for them, I think.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We'll probably talk more about that on Tuesday night if he is named, that's for sure. Next up, the first Saturday game was the blockbuster, first versus second at the time. The Doggies overrun the Raiders 32 points to 20. Now, excuse you, those people that probably at halftime went, oh, it's Saturday during the day, I might go out and do some family stuff or things like that. The Raiders are home. You then get home, look at the score when you're sitting down watching the next game and go, holy shit, what have I missed out on? Because the Dogs had an almighty comeback again. Jake said it. It was the game, the round of comebacks.
Comeback round, mate.
Oh, wow. 32 unanswered points. It was basically, you just needed to run that way in the field, and you scored 52 points unanswered going that way. That's crazy.
Let's go. Sorry, go.
Go.
No, I was just going to say, I don't even know how to, how do you throw away a 20-0 lead? That's so unbelievable to me. What are these coaches saying at halftime?
I don't know.
I just want to know, how uninspiring can you be? Adam O'Brien's come out and basically must have called him a pack of dogs, go shoot yourself, and then Sticky Ricky's come out and gone, you know what? You're a useless sack of crap. He's just come out and must have deflated him or something, popped him like a balloon.
I don't know. I love the Jamin Semen try celebration though. Where he got a dog. And I love the fact that Ricky in the post match tried to palm it off, basically saying he didn't care about it. Where, funnily enough, last week I seen a social media clip point up when someone in the crowd yelled out to him. He had a good laugh about it. So he very much, I feel like, that would have really hurt Ricky. That would have just stung. That would have been one of those annoying little stings you get, and he would have just been filthy. I reckon he would have gone home and just yelled into his pillow and gone that week, gutted dog himself. So let's go the Dogs first, though, because sort of probably question marks have been raised a couple of weeks ago when they did lose that to the Broncos about just where the team, if they can actually rise to the occasion. And after the first half, I remember I said on our chat, I said, the Raiders are potentially putting this side to the absolute sword and embarrassing them. And then, again, there's halftime chats. They were famous for this round for good and bad reasons. It obviously worked for the Doggies. They came out and were a completely different team. Credit to them. And Stephen Crichton, mate, that we talk about some of these big game players getting to this time of the year and going to that next level. He has been absolutely sensational now for 2 weeks in a row. Just talking about his actual form, no doubt. As a captain and things like that, he's been tremendous, but especially this week as well. It was like he came out single-handedly in the second half and went, follow me, I will lead us from here, and did just that.
Well, that try he scored was the perfect example of what you just said. He holds the ball in one hand like this. How cocky can you get hold the ball in one hand like this. Oh, I'm going to go this way. No, I'm not. Palms him off. Like, he's all over it. Just unbelievable. And, it's always funny because I always sort of, when people sort of say how much of an effect a center can sort of have on the game, I always sort of went like, it's not as much as like a halfback, or it's not as much as a fullback, it's not as much as, like those sorts of positions. But he, for their team, is the opposite. He's just, you want someone to do something for your team, hit Crichton. He'll do the job for you there. No, he was awesome.
He was on a tear. An absolute tear.
Mate. Yeah, no, he just came in. He just came back and went, we're not losing.
Is there any questions around him being in Origin? Like, there's no question. He's a lock.
Nah. No, he's a lock. If he's not injured, he's a lock for Origin. That's a guarantee. You're not even questioning it. Like you can count the right center as locked up, 100%. To be honest with you, I think I could pretty much name your Blues side right now, but I won't do it right now. We'll do that. Save that for another pod.
Thanks,
think
Laurie.
Carraz. Yeah, you're right, mate. I think that Carraz is just following up like every week. He's just an absolute freak. How much strike do you need to have? Like, their team has so much strike on the edges. I'm not even a big fan of Marcelo Montoya when it comes to defense, but in attack, he's a weapon. Like, he runs hard. He knows how to put a ball. He knows how to score a try. I'll say this
not just
about the
strike either. It's not just strike either. They're happy to do the hard yards, like their backline that as well. That's the best thing about them.
Oh, for sure. Like, we all talked about how they have a bit of a small sort of forward pack, but it just works for them. The way they run it just works for them so well. Like, they're just so mobile and quick. They're just running people off their feet. That's all they're doing. Yeah. What I will say about the Bulldogs is I'm going to back up what I said about them when they versed the Broncos. I don't believe that the Broncos just turned it off in the back end of that game. I think that the Bulldogs really stuck it to them, and then they started that comeback. Because I think the exact same things happened here. The Raiders didn't necessarily switch off completely. I think the Bulldogs just overran them. Second half, Bulldogs just came out and went, this game isn't over. Like, we have another 40 minutes to just put more points on than they put on us. We're going to do that. And I think that that's that bit of dogs of war sort of mentality that's around. Like, I honestly think that, these guys are reminding me of like any Queensland like Origin team. You just cannot count them out whether they're down at any point. Like, they just will try to come back and fight the entire 80 minutes. And that's a really good quality to have. It's a championship quality to have, to be honest.
Yeah. For the Raiders' point of view, let me ask you this question. Are you concerned by this result?
Yeah. I don't love it for them. And to be honest with you, no, that was just a high-pitched sound coming from me, swear. It is a bit concerning, isn't it? Because, I mean, how do you let that happen? But at the same time, we've talked about this before. When the Storm had this happen to them against the Dolphins, did we all talk about how concerned we were about them? Not one time did we go, are we concerned that they're a premiership threat? And the way that the Raiders have been playing, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt for at least a week. Like, it's only been one game. You have to give them at least the benefit of the doubt for a week because the Bulldogs are the top team in the comp right now. So if there was any team that was going to do it to them, it was them.
Yeah, no, that is fair. Like, to be honest with you, if I was a Raiders fan, I wouldn't be too down about this game. I thought going out their first half was absolute. They were tremendous. They looked like a certain top four side. Like, yes, the fallout, the second half is a concern. Like, you don't want to have that as a become a pattern in your style of play. So I'm very keen to see the next time they go out to a bit of a lead how they go on, because we actually seen, and we'll talk about them a bit later, but the Storm obviously had last week's game where they got to a bit of a lead and they got clawed back by the Raiders, and they had a big emphasis today, and we saw that actually going forward with it and pushing on and not letting up. I'm very keen to make sure the Raiders do the same when they're in that position next to do that, because they've shown so far this year they can win every way possible. They can put on a bit of a score, they can grind out. So it was a bit interesting, especially to see a full house of Canberra fans out there. I know there was a large contingency of Dogs fans as well, which was great. But just to see, obviously, that second half go down, maybe it was because they had such a big game last week. They put so much into that game that they've probably, the back half of that game, they just fell away. Maybe. It's been a huge couple of weeks for the Raiders. Like, I'll just quickly go off their games that they've played the last couple of weeks, because it could have a bit of a say. So obviously they had round 8. They had the Dolphins at GO who pushed them hard. They won that 40 points to 28 and they had to come back. They did that massive comeback against the Dolphins. They were really, really good there. Then they had the Storm at Magic Round when they put out that remarkable win, and then obviously just then the Bulldogs they lost to that. So they've had a pretty big few weeks of football. I think, yeah, this weekend coming up, they've got the Titans as well, which they'll probably be thankful for, but they obviously won't count their chickens before they hatch. But it's probably a good game to have after a huge few weeks of football where, in my opinion, I still have them as a top 4 sort of team. I think they're in the fight for sure. They just don't want to make that a habit.
Oh, no team's going to want to make second half losses a habit, and any good team won't. It can happen to anyone. It's not as if it's impossible to happen to anyone. And like I said, they're versus the best team in the comp. If we start to see a pattern, then it becomes concerning. But a once-off is all that was to me so far, and that's all we can really go off. So no massive concern. It was a relatively good game. Obviously, it was a bit boring in the first half, but then it was interesting in the second half, obviously seeing a bit of a fight, or a good fight, actually, massive comeback.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, huge credit to the Dogs for that comeback. That was fantastic. And overall, both teams, it was a great. It lived up to the hype. The first versus second, it was a great game of football to watch. Very glad I made sure I put that in the calendar to sit down and watch. It was great. Next up, the second of the Saturday games, the Warriors defeating the Dragons 15 points to 14 at Wynn Stadium. And Luke Metcalf, wowee. There was some critics of him at the start of the year after one or two lousy performances at halfback where he wasn't quite where he should be, which looking back on it was ridiculous because he's only just starting out as a halfback and he's been a 5'8" sort of running player his whole life. So it was always going to take him some time. But goodness me, Jake, he has become one of the 4 players in the competition. I'll say it again, but he has just grabbed his team now, and it revolves around Luke Metcalf and what Luke Metcalf wants to do. And he's so dangerous. He's got obviously the passing game down pat now. He's starting to run the team around a lot more, but he's got his running game still, and the running game hasn't disappeared. And I love that. I feel like the running game is more dangerous than ever, and it's in the 7 jersey. Like that's a sign of a really class player.
Yeah, no, 100%. At the beginning of the season, he was more rocks than diamonds, and I just think as his confidence has grown, I've been a massive fan of Metcalf since last year before he had that injury, and I know he played 5'8" at the time, kind of thing, but it doesn't. Sometimes the skills translate over, or it's more so that the skills always translate over. It's just that the mentality doesn't always. It seems like he has that ability, and not everyone does, but it's good to see that he has got that in him. And I think you're right in the sense that he has taken this team and taken it on. I was critical at the start of the season of Webster because I thought he was making a mistake by not playing Tamari Martin in the 7 jersey and having Metcalf play that 6 role. But to be honest with you, what the hell do I know? Because they're in second place. They're in second place in the NRL. So
shout out to you, Webby. You know more than Jake, which isn't
mate, that's difficult. That's a high praise.
Jake would tell you he'll sit there in a room with you for 3 hours arguing that point.
Metcalf has been fantastic, but I would actually like to shout out somebody who I have never been oh no, you're right. Go.
Well, wait, one more point on Metcalf. Can I just say this? It might seem, tell me if this is too far-fetched or not, but I feel like the start of the year, him having the 7 on his back weighed on him quite heavily, and he actually completely tried to change the way he played, where it's felt like, and again, credit to Webster here, who probably has sat down and talked to him about this, and the playing group has said to him, no, we know what your strengths are. We want you to continue with those, but just make sure you've got that part in your game now as well. And it seems like every week now, it's gotten better and better where he's been able to juggle the fact that, yes, he's the halfback of the New Zealand Warriors, but he's also Luke Metcalf, and Luke Metcalf has all these skills in his bow that they don't want it to disappear. He just needs to mature and learn to sort of, as he goes, get the team to A to B when they need to.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. He looked nervous in the first few games. He just looked like just concerned, I suppose, that he was not doing the best job at the middle. He looked like he was getting lost in games, like not lost, but how do I even put this? He just looked freaked out. He just looked like he was freaked out by the pressure, maybe by whatever it was. He just looks more. He just looks more comfortable now. It looks like he's going out into games and just knowing his role, doing his role, and completing relatively highly at his role. So he looks good. I'm really glad that he's doing well.
Go to your shout out.
All right, I'll hit this up. So I gave him one a little bit ago, and he's never been somebody I've been a fan of ever. But the last few weeks, he's proven me wrong. Do you know who I'm going, don't you? Aaron Clark. I've never been a fan of Aaron Clark, but I tell you what, he has been a workhorse over the last few weeks. He is just a freak. I don't even know. He's the perfect build for a lock. I just never thought he had he had too many errors in him. He had too many penalties in him, kind of thing. He's just kind of tucked that side of his game away and just become this workhorse who just what's his name? Fisher Harris is out, which we need to remember. Fisher Harris is out. They're missing their star signing of the season for most of the season. They're still coming in second. When he's back and everyone else still fires, they're going to look. RTS is back next week, so this is.
And DWZ just came back this week as well. Like they're three huge players for not just this team, but their culture and their spirit on the field, like the way they play. That all three of those players, anytime they normally have like a win, you'd say they're in their top 5 or 6 players any time. Like that's just the sort of players that they are. I know Fish has only just got to the club, but even for when he was at Penrith, whenever Penrith had a win or a good win, he was always probably top 3 players on the field then. Like that's how inspirational he is. So to not have all 3 of those players for a lot of the year so far and be sitting second, I think so many out there are underestimating how big this effort is so far. And you could argue to the point where you'll go, but their strength of jaw might have been a little bit under. But no, like they've still had a very weakened team. Like some of these big teams have lost to a lot of these teams having a stronger lineup in play. Like these guys have been under strength, backs against the wall, and they've got the job done.
Yeah. It's a mentality thing. And this is what we were talking about with the Broncos that they don't have. The Broncos have this star-studded pack and don't have it feels like they don't have the backbone at the moment, whereas the Warriors are just coming out and just being, I don't know, they're just getting the job done. Like they're just going in with the idea that they need to get their job done. They have some juniors they're playing that are just doing a really great job each week. I'm just trying to think of who I'm looking at here. Where is he? Tane Tuapiki has just been unbelievable on the wing for them.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire season, he's been great. Well, Tennys Lezanet coming back, like you said this week, he had a really big game. I thought attacking wise, like he created impact. I'm just trying to. Wade Egan's been good for them off the in that hooking role. Mitch Barnett, like you just don't.
I want to give Mitch Barnett a bit of a rap because I think the last few weeks, especially, he has been humongous. And again, we talk about. And look, I don't want to go too deep into this because there'll be people probably listening in their car eye rolling or something, but I will. I will for this one because let's talk 2 years ago where he was basically a Newcastle discard or maybe a little bit over. I might have got my timing mixed up. You'll get the drift. He's now become a household name at the rep level. He's, for mine, a must pick when it comes to the Blues. And you talk about the Blues forwards that they have this year and the options. To be sitting here saying that Mitch Barnett is a must is just showing you how huge his turnaround has been. Like, I don't want to overstate it, but I feel like as I'm thinking about it and as I'm talking about it, that's just coming naturally. Like, I'm not overstating it. That's just reality of where Mitch Barnett has gone with his game. And it's a credit to the Warriors, but it's a credit to him. He could have easily gone off to New Zealand where not as much media scrutiny. You could probably just get away with having 6 out of 10 games, getting your pay pack and just disappearing sort of in a way. But he went there. He worked his absolute ass off. He's improved himself on and off the field. It seems like just going off his on-field performances. And he's now one of the inspirational leaders at a team where he's only been there at, 2 years at the club. And knowing how big that Warriors club is with culture and things like that, that is humongous. That's huge what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's come across and he's kind of it was a big surprise the first year when he played for the Warriors, where everyone just kind of went like, oh, he's going to peak at some point and he's just going to stop. He'll gas out or whatever, and he just never did. Like for 2 years now, it's like he kind of just slowly rose into the scene and just stayed there. He just never disappeared again. And you're right. He's not a person that you're looking at going, he's a person. Sorry, he is a person that you're looking at going like, I would want him in my team. You want him in a rep team, like you want him in the Blues. The guy's an absolute workhorse week in and week out, and you just think, how's it even sustainable? Probably isn't, but it is for him because he's Mitch Barnett. He can just do it. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think he's been monumental for them while Fish has been out, and then when Fish is back, those two are going to be the Bash Bros, the new Bash Bros.
Oh, I'm so keen to see. I'm really keen to see a full strength Warriors team this year, and just what happens, because we have seen in the past a full strength team Warriors never plays as well as their understrength team. We've seen that a few times last year as well. Like I remember the Magic round last year where they were so depleted and they beat the Panthers. This is the Penrith Panthers of last year, beat them. And I'm very keen to see the mentality and how they continue on, because just going off the fact that what DWZ did this week, and he's just come back, he's not taking a backward step. They're not taking a backward step. So I'm really keen to see what this club can do. And obviously, apart from Barnett, they're not going to be that heavily impacted by Origin at all, which is a huge loss. But hopefully, Fish is back in the next few weeks. So I'm not. I have to double check his time frame, but I might be touch and go.
We know what Roger Tuivasa-Sheck brings. Like we know that he doesn't ever take a step backward step. He's consistently a top 3 player on the field, whatever game he's in.
Yeah. They could easily we could get to the end of this Origin period, looking at the table, and they're with like the Dogs well out in front. Or what you're going one, are you? You're saying they could be, yeah.
Barring injury, I see no reason why they couldn't be in number 1.
Yep. Massive. But you're absolutely spot on, because there's and they've got that many good young forwards coming through that you'd be happy to give them in a couple of weeks that Barnett's not there, and they won't miss a beat, because all year so far we've seen their young guys come on, just kill it. They absolutely are ruthless, and you just don't want to verse them. You're going to come out black and blue knowing and that's the old school Warriors as well, which is what I'm loving. That's what like past players you talk to used to say. The Warriors were the team you never wanted to verse, because you knew you'd be sore for days post that game. They were huge. Yeah. They were beasts. They were relentless. Like they're back to that.
I'm just trying to think who they'd be missing. So obviously during the Origin period will miss Barnett. Is that it?
Egan on the rough chance, but I just can't see it happening.
I don't think Egan happens. Let's say that. Then let's talk about the Bulldogs. So potentially Matt Burton, but probably not. Stephen Crichton, definitely. Potentially Jacob Kiraz.
Maybe Kiraz. Kurt Mann for Maroons.
If Harry Grant isn't back, Reed Marnie could get a shout, to be honest. Like you said, Kurt Mann. There could be a few Bulldogs out in this team, and that could lead to potentially an upset at number. I'd consider it an upset. It could be an upset at number 1 by the end of the Origin period.
Yeah. That's like a huge love for the Warriors at the moment. I think rightly so. Just for the Dragons, I feel like they might be one of those teams. We do a couple of these each week, so you won't be surprised where we just don't spend much time at all on them. I just felt like their performance on the weekend, and like credit to the Warriors in there. People will probably sit back going, well, they only won by 1 point, so the Dragons must have done something right. Just an odd one, because they stayed in the fight, which was good to see, obviously, but I just don't have that much to talk about when it comes to the Dragons this week. And we've said, I feel like, a lot over the last month or so about them. I just don't have much on them, Jake, this week. I'm happy to give them sort of not a pass mark because they lost and I don't think they played great, but just more so I'll get to them in the next week or two type thing.
Well, to be honest with you, if they kick their conversions, we're talking about we're telling a different story here. Like that. If we're talking about a huge upset if they kick their conversions, because the Warriors were up early, right? Except for the where is it? They got the 1 point field goal. That was in the 70th minute. But other than that, they were up. They were up before halftime, and then Gutho scored that one just before halftime. So the points that the Warriors got to was it for the entire second half until the field goal. So second half, Dragons win that. Dragons actually won the second half over them, which is a pretty impressive sort of feat. I thought that Gutho was huge again, kind of thing, which when I was watching him at Magic Round, I'm sitting there thinking he's injured. Like, he's not playing at 100%. He's not. That's the reason they're not using him and stuff like that. But he ran 21 times for 200 meters again, scored a try. If I'm being completely honest, I think the Dragons should have won this game.
Is that a concern then that once again they've had one of these games? Because that's the elephant in the room then, because they've had a few of those this year. They could easily be well and truly entrenched in the top 8 this year. And now this comes back to the halves again. Like, I know they've dropped Ilias, but this is no pressure on King Togia either. But for me, it just completely spells out the fact that they are screaming for an organising playmaker, an experienced playmaker. They need someone in this team.
You're absolutely right about that, and I don't disagree with you at all. The big thing, again, like I said, if they kick their conversions, they win. So that one, to be fair, you could probably put that down to Holmes a little bit. Like, it's not, you can't put it all on him. Of course, it's not as if he lost them the game. But you're right. When they get into those tough, it was 40-all for a period of time, and Metcalf kicked his field goal in the 69th minute, which means no other points got scored after that. So there was still 11 minutes after that for them to get another point on the board and get back, but they didn't get there. So you're right. Like, I don't know. They've had too many. This has been a story this year. They could be, if they win all these like real close games, they could be sitting in the top.
I think they've had 3 so far, so you could easily add 3 more wins to them.
Well, yeah, 100%. Like, you add 3 wins to them, and like I said, I'm pretty sure they'd be sitting in the A. Let's have a quick look.
Well, they'd be on 14 points. They'd be on 14 points. They'd be in the top 4.
Yeah, well,
on the edge of the top 4, depending on their points differential, but they'd be right in the fight, which is
so.
And that's
they
the
lost
thing,
by
you can't.
They lost by 1 point to the Rabbitohs in round 2. They lost to us by a point, like the Eels by 1 point in round 5. They lost to Manly by 2 points in round 7. They lost this game, so that's 4. That's actually 8 points. That's 8 points.
They'd be with the Warriors.
They'd be sitting. You sort of mean like you actually have to consider that they aren't doing as badly as they are on the ladder, but they're not winning those games.
Yeah, interesting. Very interested to hear your thoughts, Dragons fans, and where you think your club is at as well, because I think, as you can see by what we're trying to say, it is a bit hard to put a finger on it, not just this performance, but just where they're at in general. So let us know. Let's go to the last of the Saturday game. So that was the 30-all draw. That is right, guys. Cowboys against the Penrith Panthers. Jake, I'm going to ask you straight off the bat before we go into this. Were you a fan of draw as the outcome for this game?
No, I wasn't. I actually believe there was a moment in the game where the Panthers should have got a penalty for Scott Drinkwater, hit the boot of him, and then it was an accidental offside. I can't believe that the bunker hasn't called that up. I don't understand how come the bunker can get involved in everything else but doesn't stop like a very clear violation there. Panthers should have won that game. And then even if you don't count that, afterwards, right towards the end of the game, I don't remember who it was it was Robson that went to pass to Drinkwater, and one of the Panthers players, I can't remember who it was sitting there next to the play the ball, where clearly where they're about to pass to, with his hands up like this in an absolutely offside position, and Robson had to turn and pass it left, like in the very last dying seconds of the game. That should have been a penalty there as well. So there's 2 times. It shouldn't have got to that point. Let me just say that. Should have got to that point. But there were 2 penalties in that game that didn't get called that would have won either team the game. So I'm not a fan at all.
You took that to another level where I didn't expect you to take it. I'm also was asking if you were happy with draw as the outcome in terms of just the game. Were you happy with golden point, draw after that, or is there a way you want to do things differently? Like,
there is. I believe that it should be a golden try. So the way I first of all, in that game specifically, I think that the Cowboys fought their way back into it fair and square. I actually think that it should have gone into extra time, and that was worthy of the game that it was. But the extra time system It's so boring. It's so boring to sitting there waiting for field goals, golden point. It's so boring. It should be golden try. If a field goal is kicked, the point still goes ahead, right? So let's say it's golden try. If the field goal is kicked, the point still is on the board. And at the end of the time, if a try hasn't been scored, so the game will end and the team will win if they score a try. If the time finishes and a field goal is the difference of points, that team will still win. So there's two ways to win. You can choose to kick a field goal, or you can play some expansive footy and win the game instantly by a try. That's what I'd love to see, because that just would make the game, like the end game, like the extra time, so much more enjoyable, so much more exciting, because you're seeing teams throw these big passes and anything can happen. Like, I don't know. I just think that the current system is outdated.
Can I say I'm a bit old school? I actually just don't mind a draw after 80 minutes. In general competition, that is. Obviously, finals in that is different. I don't mind both teams walking away with 1 point after 80.
Well, if you're talking about it being, I don't mind that either. I actually don't hate the fact that if there's no extra time, I could live with that. Like that's totally fine by me. If it sits there at 80 and that's the final score, they, like, the broadcast people would be happy because they're getting everything on time, and it's a guaranteed time. It's a guaranteed time slot then, and there's no issues in that kind of thing. And to be honest, I know that you don't really care about that, but I'm just saying that's the big reason why they probably don't do. That's why they do, I'd imagine, golden point, so it can end faster. But
I'm just not a big fan of golden point, to be honest. Like, I don't remember the last time we sat through a golden point period and went, that was fantastic footy. Like, that was actually a great sort of game in terms of the way they were playing. Like, it's very scrappy, it's messy. We all know what they're trying to do every single set, and it's just predictable and boring, I feel like, most of the time. There is the odd excitement. Like, you're on the edge of the seat for the excitement factor or the theatre of them going for that field goal, which half the time goes off the side of the boot and is a shocking shot. But I don't know. I just don't like. Obviously, we find that you have to do it that way. I get it. I like it for that. But during the season, I'm happy for teams just to walk away with a point each. See you later. Save the legs.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm boring. Let us know in the comments. Let us know your thoughts.
No, I'd actually like that, because the other thing as well is I don't mind there being single digit, like odd numbers in the ladder, because it makes it a bit more interesting. Like, hey, you might only need a draw and you make it into the 8 as opposed to needing a win. Like, and then you might be fighting. That keeps teams fighting towards the end of the season in those those close games to even just try and level the score. Like, it could be it would make the game more interesting. I agree.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into both of these things. I do want to move on because there is a few talking points with the last two games from today. But one player I do want to mention out of this was Blaze Talangi, and I just want to give him a bit of a shout out. So I thought Blaze was really good. I really, from a kid, and he's a kid, guys, still, who's copped a lot of heat. He's basically initiation into life at Penrith probably hasn't been ideal. Obviously, the injury, and then whether they were holding him back, not right, like whatever the case was, just wasn't quite there. Been into a team that's been struggling, and is going for a 5-time premiership win in a row, which is huge. A lot of pressure to come into, and I love that it looks like the Penrith Panthers have gone all in with him now and actually given him so much ball, letting him do so much. And he came up chumps on the weekend. I think it was 4 try assists in a row, which was crazy. He had his hands all over the football, all over everything. And it was just a credit to him, who I believe he's a tremendous talent. Like, I've never questioned that once. And I'm so excited to watch him come through, see his career unfold and what he becomes. And I think this is just a taste of what that halves pairing could be. Like, Cleary and Slungy are going to be really, really good for a long time ahead for the Penrith Panthers. So, yeah, just a shout-out from mine for Blaze.
I'm going to back you up on your shout-out, but I'm going to have a little caveat in there. So, I love him in attack. I love Blaze Talangi in attack. I think he's a fantastic attacker in the game. Defensively, and I've said this from the start, he has issues, and he needs to work them out. 6 missed tackles, okay? 6 missed tackles on the weekend. I think if you go back through all his games, you're seeing a lot of missed tackles in most of the games he plays. I've always believed that in attack, he's got it. He's got the spark. He can do crazy things. But defensively, he's got to fix that. And being the way they are at the moment, the Panthers, they need to improve their defense as it is. So he's going to have to fix that up in and of himself, because tackling at a 71% chance, 71% like tackle efficiency, not going to win you premierships.
Wow. Sorry, Blaze. I tried to give you a bit of love, but
harsh. Hey, don't get me wrong. 4 tries is huge game. Huge game. Don't get me wrong. Huge game, and I think attacking, awesome, right?
You got to try as well. Sorry, a try.
Did he also? Yeah, he scored 2. Yeah,
you got to try
that one was pretty lucky, to be fair. I'm not trying to harsh him, but he did score a try. But defensively, he needs to sort himself out. That's like if he defends a little bit better in that game, I say they win. And that can go for a lot of their players. But 6 is the most missed tackles in the game, I believe, on both sides. Missed tackles. Yeah, definitely on the Panthers side. And then missed tackles on this side. We've got, so the only other one who missed more was Jeremiah Nanai. And Sam McIntyre. So that, there are 2. There were 2 on the other team that missed more. There's 2 on the other team that missed more, but they, is what it is. I think that he needs to shore up his defense. Something I've said since he was at the Eels.
So an Origin level player missed more, but you're not in on him. You're in on the kid. That's all right.
I hadn't looked at
you later.
Yeah, righto.
We will move on. We have spoken again. We've spoken about both teams in the past. We'll go back to them, of course, but I do have a few things I want to talk about with the next 2 games. So first up, the Melbourne Storm today. We obviously record this Sunday night. 64. You're not hearing that incorrectly, guys. 64 points to zip. We all thought there would be a turnaround. We all thought there'd be a response from last weekend's game against the Raiders, and there clearly was. And there wasn't just obviously the points on the board. There was a very big difference with how they were discipline-wise as well, and I watched that closely today. They were so much better when it came to a discipline point of view, the Melbourne Storm. Wowee. I just this was the Storm where I watch and go, that team right there will win the comp by a 20 on grand final day. That was how clinical and good they were. Pappenhausen, is there a way you can fit him into your Blues team, Jake?
This is so difficult because I still have the incumbent there. Like, as so good, as incredible as Pappenhausen was today, he's versing the Tigers. He wasn't versing Queensland. And I don't know. It was so awesome. He played incredible. So did all the Storm played so well. I just don't know where I fit him in. I don't know where, unless it's in the 14 role. I can't have him as my starting fullback for me. The only other way you'd almost fit him in is if somehow we were looking for a winger, but I don't think we are. So I don't even know.
Very unlucky year to be a fullback.
Yeah, I know. 18th man, maybe. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. He had a freakish game today, and he's been on fire this whole season. But I just don't know if I can. I just don't know. And this might be a hot take here, but I just don't know if he is the right build for Origin. I think with the history of injuries that he's had and things like that, and the size that he is, I feel like he will get driven back.
He'd be bigger than Billy. He'd be bigger than Billy Slater.
Yeah, I mean, look. You know what? You've got a fair point, but Billy Slater was probably the best fullback to ever do it.
That's a fair point to come back at me for, but at the same time, like, Pappy's had some moments. Like, Pappy's proven he could very well handle that arena, I reckon.
I agree. I still believe in the Origin arena and the way we played last year, the way we I believe we should play as the Blues. I still think Dylan Edwards fits the bill more. But you know what? I'll say this: I'd have Pappy over. I'd have Pappy over having Tedesco back.
Big, huge. Let us know in the comments, who would you have as your Blues fullback this week? I feel like we ask every week. It changes. Has Pappy rocketed into contention?
Edwards. Edwards stays for me until it happens. Edwards will stay until that happens. Until it's listed.
Tell you what, talking about that, I think Munster, from a Maroons point of view today, very dangerous. he's just starting to warm up at the right. So once again, one of these players at just the time of year warming up. I thought he was very, very good today. Had his hands over a lot, set up a couple of tries himself, scored a good try, and just played a lot tougher today, which is obviously a directive for the Storm in general because they all did. I thought Munster was great.
Yeah, it took him a little while to warm into the game, but once he did, and that can happen with him. Once he does warm into it, he doesn't want. He doesn't
need to.
phase
It's a pap show.
No, he didn't need to. He just chose to join in. He was like, "Oh, that looks like fun. I'm going to go do that." like he didn't. He honestly didn't even look like he was trying. But the thing with Munster is, if he doesn't walk into a game, he can not have too much of an effect. But if he finds his rhythm in a game, look out because you're cooked. You're done. If he finds his rhythm in a game, you just might as well go, right, we'll pack it up. See you next week. Because he can be so explosive and so powerful and so dangerous. He's just a freak.
Yeah. One final player I want to talk about. He's back, and what a stint it was. And I want you to give me his stats because I know you're the stat man here. Nelson Asafa-Solomona in 35 minutes. That stint that he did today was insane. Like, I've been a bit of a critic towards Asafa-Solomona throughout the years. Haven't agreed with a lot of what he's done, but he came back today in this game, and wow, like they already had the momentum, but he was just relentless and made sure that while he was on that field, they were going to continue and not let up.
What a perfect bench sub to have! Like what a freakish like impact player to have. 13 runs for 133 meters in 35 minutes is nuts. That's unbelievable. He has come out and just gone, you know what? I'm still part of this Melbourne Storm unit. Like, I don't count me out yet. He had 2 offloads. He had a 100% tackle efficiency. Didn't miss any tackles. 59 post-contact meters, which was more than pretty much anyone else in the team except for Sean Bloor, who also had a friggin' huge game. So, you know what?
Yeah, hang on. You have missed the stat man has missed probably his best stat, 11 tackle busts. And a try.
Well, yeah, the try was one we knew about. But
insane.
I did miss that. 11 tackle breaks is, to be fair, ridiculous. That's huge. That's unbelievable. I didn't even notice it was that high, but yeah, no, that's really great from him. Huge game.
Welcome back, and I hope we get to see him more in this sort of form because when he's in like this, he's unstoppable. He can quickly catapult into one of the best forwards in the game with this form. He's just absolutely sensational. From the West Tigers point of view, Jake, there's obviously not much to talk about because they were absolutely manhandled. I've seen a few comments and it just summed this up, and this is all I'm going to say on this. It was men against boys. It was just, they were nowhere near it. They were always onto a hiding for nothing. I said it last week. I thought this was going to be pretty much a smash-up derby, and it was that. And the thing is, I can't even be that critical on the Tigers' performance because the Storm were just that good. And I just don't think, when you think about it, the Tigers just aren't at that level yet. They're improving, and unfortunately, I felt like most teams would have had this happen to them today. It was their turn.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. If you could put almost any team, like I don't think you're putting at the moment like the Dogs out there or Canberra, and that's happening to them. But you could put, I reckon, any of the bottom 7, bottom 8 teams out there, and a very similar thing sort of happens to them. I think that they got belted last week after the loss to Canberra. And I think they were always going to come out and do this. I want to give one little thing about the Tigers to anybody who's saying that, and I've seen a lot of comments like this, you'd be surprised, and also some like media people saying it. To anybody saying Terrell May is like not having enough impact and is too small for Origin, you're an idiot. You got rocks in your head. A lot of people, you'd be surprised. I know you're looking at me like that's like a weird. There's been people that are saying like other people, even in media, like I've been seeing, I don't know who it was, but I've been seeing people like, other people should start over him. And things like that, like that should be getting that starting spot over him. I can't believe that, because even in a game where they were dominated, he still ran for 106 meters. In a game where they were flogged they never stood a chance. He didn't give up one time. Like, he still played the entire game out. I think he played for 70-something minutes. Yeah, 73 minutes. Like, how are you not looking for that in the Blues? How are you not looking for a player who can do that? And I think the biggest reason that they were saying it was they were like, yeah, he can play for big minutes, but can he like have an impact, or is he getting driven back, or is he too small? No, he's not. He's an absolute freak, and him and Payne Haas starting would take the absolute the steam out of the other team's front rowers, and then you're bringing on your Barnetts and you're bringing on your Yos, or whoever. Actually, Yo probably end up playing lock this year, but like your Olakuatus and the people who are going to do the damage. Spencer Lenius, like, oh mate, if you're not locking in Terrell May for the Blues, you're a fool.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Mic drop for you there. Last game, the Sharkies beating the Manly Sea Eagles at 4 points, 30 points to 14. Entertaining game to watch. I thought it was a pretty decent game. A weird one in terms of the Sharks shot out. Obviously got out to quite a lead, 14-0 at one stage. Manly came back to 14-all, and then the Sharkies just ran away with it. Manly just fell asleep. I think we've all forgot that Manly were the team coming off the bye. If anything, you would have guessed if you only were watching this week, it was the Sharks who had so much more energy, which was really weird. I want to talk about Manly first, Jake, and it's going to keep coming up, but I'm starting to think more and more of it. Is this whole DCE stuff really starting to affect this club? Like, he's obviously the leader. They just seem flat. Like, they just seem, ever since that has happened, it's completely deflated the club. And yes, they've had a moment here and there where they've seemed like a team that could potentially do something, but majority of the time, they have not looked anywhere near the team before that announcement happened. Like, they started on the season quite well, and they've just been nothing since.
If I'm being honest with you, I don't think that they were anything to begin with. And I'm somebody who believed that they were going to do great, huge things this year. I don't think that the Daly Cherry Evans thing has had as big of an impact as you think it is. I honestly think that we all just thought they were doing better than they were. At no point this season, now that I'm looking back at it, were they like crushing the world. Like, they weren't. They have had those big scores. They have put on some scores on some people and stuff like that. But I'm looking through their team now, and their backline's incredible, right? They have one of, if not the strongest backline in the game. But we see it with the Eels. Your backline can't do everything for you. If you actually have a look at their forward pack, it isn't that strong. Like Sio Takiaho, he's nothing special in my eyes. Obviously, Olakawatu is a freak. We know that. But 1 second row is not going to win you every game. Jake Trbojevic isn't who he was. I don't think he has been playing like who he has in the past, kind of thing. Like, the same thing with Ben Trbojevic and Jazz Tabanga. Like, are these the players who are going to win you? Like create enough of a platform to win you every game? I don't think so. I think they need some more spark in their forwards. I don't think it's the Daly Cherry Evans thing like you think it is.
That's fair. That's definitely, and I can agree with what you're saying there. I just more so was just saying, like, it just feels like from a team's point of view and the morale has just completely derailed. And most of the time, like, let's be fair dinkum here. Like, I know there's a little bit of a gap in terms of some of these teams, but overall, they're all first-grade players. A lot of it has to do with week to week, the mental side of the game, if anything, for a lot of these teams. And it just feels like it's weighing on a few of them quite heavily. And the fact that it's still going, like, I feel like everyone in the game knows he's going to the Roosters. I don't know why it hasn't been announced yet. That in itself just seems a bit strange still. But it just, I don't know, it feels like if I was a player there at the moment, and it got to like a hard time, like it sort of happened then for this game where they got to 14-all, they had to go that extra level. And I'm not saying they're deliberately going about doing this and thinking stuff you Cherry, but it's like, it feels like the back of their mind, there's this bit where it's like, oh, do I?
I do. Yeah. I definitely get what you're saying. Also, just as I was looking through the team list, I just have to fix something that I said before. I said that the Dragons lost the game to the Seagulls 20-18, but I was actually wrong. Manly lost that one by 2, so it was 3. It wasn't just 4. Let's just quick little fix that one up. But yeah, so I do get what you mean. They don't feel like the team they were. Like, even in that very first game against the Cowboys, when they really came out and put the boots to them, like, it felt like they felt exciting. They felt like DCE was raiding the short side like 3 times a set and just like playing what he saw, and it did feel exciting. I get that. But then the next week, like they lost 36-16 against the Warriors. Then they beat the Raiders 40-12, and I remember that was a bit of an anomaly. We were all sitting there like, "What? Or that shouldn't have happened." That's huge. That's a great score for them. Then they beat the Eels. That was never in question. We were playing terrible at the time. But then they went on to a big loss streak. Do you remember what round it was that DC sort of announced?
I'm going to say it was round 4 or 5.
See,
4? Because it was just after Dill Brown stuff. So Dill Brown was the first. Went to Cherry a few weeks after that, which took the pressure off Dill, and Dill was so thankful for that. And then a few weeks later, then the Galvin stuff happened as well. So I feel like that sort of round 4-ish, maybe 5 suits.
Because I believe it was, it would have been but after round 4, but before round 5, because they got pumped by the Storm after that. And I remember you asking me, like, do you think that that's us seeing that impact kind of straight away? And I said no, because the Storm are the Storm, and we know what they can do. Like, they got them 48-24. That had nothing to do with DC. They were getting pumped anyway. But then they lost to the Sharks, and then they lost that 2 points to the Dragons. They came out and they beat the Panthers, and then they've lost to the Sharks, obviously, just then. So they are on it. They're on 5. They're 5-1 or 4-1, something like that. Like, they're in a bad way at the moment, actually. So you know what? You might be right. You could be. It could be that DC. I said could be. Calm down. But
I get right.
They are in a bit of a downward spiral at the moment, and I think who have they got coming up now? They've got.
This is a huge game this weekend. The Cowboys in town is huge.
That's 6th against 8th. So they've got Cowboys, and then they've got us again. Now I feel like, actually, to be honest with you, the better test will be the better test to see where they're at will be versus us again. Like, because you're going to use, before the news happened, they beat us 26-12. So you can literally use that as like a where are they at kind of pretty perfectly, actually. So I'd wait 2 weeks, see if see what they do to us and what happens there, because we'll know, because we've improved. So if they get beaten by us, who knows? It could go either way. That's a very interesting sort of thing to keep an eye out on, because I think I didn't believe in the whole DCE having an effect thing, but who knows? That's very.
I believe. I am a believer. So criticize me in the comments all you like. I am a believer. So you start changing the way you're playing, going back to what it was before, Cherry. I'll not believe otherwise. But for the Sharkies, mate, I'm going to put my hand up right now. I'm going to put both of them up if you're watching on YouTube. I'm going to say sorry, and I'm going to actually. Sorry is probably not the right word. Maybe I was wrong. I'm not too sure. Nico Hines has been really good the last couple of weeks, and it feels like the Sharkies have basically given him back the reins of this team and said, you know what, you're back in control. Let's go back to how it was when you sort of won the Dally M. You were controlling everything. Probably granted in a way, especially today. I just thought it was all Nico, and credit where it's due. I know we've been probably, and there's so many out there have been fairly critical of Nico, and he's been all over the shop to start the year, but he's starting to put a bit of consistent football together.
Well, you can see it over the last 2 years and what's happened with him, that he's clearly a player that runs off confidence, right? Like, he lost his confidence against playing for the Blues 2 years in a row. He got stitched up pretty hard, to be honest with you, and he lost his confidence and he played like crap after that. The start of this year, he basically wasn't in control of his own team and the team that he's been in charge of the last 2 years. And then there was the people talking about how he's getting paid way more than Trindle, and why is Trindle running the team and stuff like that. So you're seeing those things and he's hearing those things and he'd be getting in his own head. And I think for Fitzgibbon? Yeah, for Fitzgibbon to give him the reins and say, mate, this is your team, go and take it. And I think that's got to be a big confidence booster for him, to see that he is getting that, he is being in control sort of week in and week out. And I still believe that he shouldn't have got the Dally M that year. I don't believe that he was deserving of that. But at the same time, I don't doubt that he's a good player. I don't doubt that he has the ability to win football games for his team. I just think he has been so in his own head that he's not like playing the way he should be. And by should, I mean the way he can, and only he can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know what? I'll just go ahead and say it. I'd put him on the bench for the Blues now. I think he's in that good a form. He's turned it around, Nico. No, I'm joking. I would not do that to Nico.
God.
It's a joke.
God. You had me. You had
the
me.
Sharks, please, for this year. Focus on the
You
Sharks.
really got me on that one. I actually
own good. But again, it's just, I'm actually genuinely happy for him as well. Like it looks like the last couple of weeks as well, he actually looks like he's enjoying his footy again, where for a while, especially at the start, like it didn't look like he was enjoying it. So I'm just very happy to see that part of his game, Nico, come through. And he's just, again, it looks like they've given him back the reins and gone, this is your team, Nico. Do as you will. We will play how you want to. And it's working. And why change it? So well done to him.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've always been of the belief that he is a halfback. I know a lot of people saying like, oh, he plays like a 5'8", but I just don't think that's true. I think the key issue this year has been that he didn't know whether he was in charge. Well, he was a fullback at the Storm and he did a good job there. But anyway, I believe that he didn't know if he was in charge or not, and that was weighing on him. I think he just needed to know that it's his team. You are in control of his team, and I think that will it has and will unlock him. You just got to give him more time and let him really find that confidence. Don't put him in the Blues. Whatever you do, play friggin' Katoa over him. Play anyone. I don't care. Just don't put him back.
He will not be there. Well, I think Connor Watson has the 14 down pat anyway, personally, but that's all it. That's it, guys. That's all we'll talk about tonight. Huge episode once again, which didn't anticipate to do either, but hope you all enjoyed it. Obviously back after a week off from doing the review shows. Back on Tuesday night for our live show. Back in our live draft teams as well, which I know everyone was missing last week, thanks to the guy next to me being a bit of a weak gutted dog himself.
Just a hint. I'm signing Ken Mamalo on $1 million a season deal.
We're doing wingers. We're doing wingers, and Mamalo is apparently in Jake's sights. So I think there's a guy called Charlie Staines on the opposite wing as well. Yeah. So he's going all out.
He's on 1.2. He's on 1.2 mil.
Don't joke because you would. So, but look forward to talking to you all then again in a live show across Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you're there. We're getting huge ratings at the moment for those, huge views and stuff like that. So really, I appreciate everyone jumping on. And again, there'll be plenty to talk about. I am sure of it. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button, like button, comment, all that sort of jazz. Share it around. Tell your mates about us. Please get the hats. Message the page over the next 24 hours to get 20% off the hats, either the light blue. Jake is doing a nice presentation for those YouTube watchers, or there's a navy blue version as well. And then social media, make sure you go ahead, give us a like, follow across there. Those platforms are flying at the moment, which you're very thankful for. We are looking very, very close to getting to the 25K already on Facebook, which is huge. So help us get to that milestone over the next week or so. But thank you. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you all Tuesday night. Good night.